welcome to Sarah's Stampin' Up Treat. Today we're going to be using these brilliant rainbow dies from Stampin' Up to create a rainbow shaker card. So in the die set you get this smaller rainbow, this larger part rainbow, which is the one we're going to be using today, some clouds, this piece here, a kind of scallop piece, and this edging piece. So I'm going to create the box out of Flirty Flamingo cardstock. So I've got a piece first that is 8 1/4 by 10 inches, and I'm going to score that at 1 3/4 inches and at 6 1/2 inches, and that's on the short side. Now I'm going to turn it to the long side. I'm going to score it at 1 3/4 inches and at 8 1/4 inches. And so I've got this big section here, so I want to make this into quite a big box that's reasonably shallow, because I want it to be big enough to put some cards in, so we've got a nice box to hold a stationery set. So then for the lid, I've got a 7 3/4 by 9 1/2 inch piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to score that at 1 1/2 inches on each side. And you just want to leave it a little bit away from the side of the scoreboard each time you're scoring for the lid, and that just makes sure that this middle piece is marginally bigger than the area of the base, so it means that the lid will fit on nicely. Then I've got two pieces. You can see this smaller one is for the lid and this larger one's for the base. So I'm going to take the larger one for the base and I'm going to fold that on all of the score lines. So then I'm going to cut this. So I'm going to cut about 1 centimetre, 1/2 inch away from this score line. And I realise that 1 centimetre and 1/2 inch aren't the same measurement, but it doesn't really matter, it's just kind of tab. So depending on whether you work in centimetres or inches, it probably is easier to think of 1 centimetre or 1/2 inch. So I'm just cutting that into a tab there. And then I'm going to cut this again, the same measurement from one of these sides. It doesn't matter whether it's on this side or on this side, so you don't need to worry about that. And I'm cutting up the score line on the other side, and then I'm cutting a little notch into each side, and then I'm going to cut up here, and I'll cut 1 centimetre away from there, and then I'm just going to cut a little tab into it. And the same again for the fourth corner. I'm just going to cut 1 centimetre away from one of the score lines and up the other score line, and just cutting a little triangle away. The reason you cut a little triangle out is that when you fold it, if you don't cut a little triangle out, then you might get a little bit peeking above here, and it might not fit quite as well here. So for a clean finish, that's why we cut out those little triangles. So I'm just going to put a bit of my tear and tape onto each of those tabs. And then I'm just going to fold those up so that the side meets the corner fold. Then we've got our box base. So then I'm going to make the lid in the exact same way as I did the base. So I'm going to score all of the edges, and then I'm just going to cut about 1 centimetre away from one of the score lines and straight up the other score line on each of the corners, then take off my little triangles. I'm going to do that on all 4 of the corners. So I'm going to put some tape on here. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same as we did on the base. I'm just folding it up so that the side of the box meets the corner on the adjacent side. So then we've got a box where the lid fits just over the base nicely. So now to the decorating part. So I've got this piece of smoky slate cardstock, and I've used that part rainbow die that we saw. So that's this one, to cut this aperture out of the cardstock. So the cardstock measures 5 3/4 by 4 1/4 inches. And then I've also used the same die just to cut all these pieces to kind of fit into this rainbow. I also want to make it into a shaker card. So what I want to do is just position this on here, just where I want it for my shaker. And then I'm kind of going to use that as a template to glue in these pieces of paper so that they're in the right place. So this piece is So Saffron. This second piece is Balmy Blue. Third piece is some Flirty Flamingo. And then the fourth piece is Fresh Freesia. So then what I'm going to do is take a piece of window sheet that fits over the rainbow. And I'm just going to add that on. I prefer to use a bit of tape for this, but the tape's too wide to go all the way around. So I'm going to just put a bit of tape around the outsides. Just like this. And then I'll put a bit of glue on the pieces where it's just too narrow to hold the tape. I'm also going to put some glue on these pieces. So I'm just going to pop this on here, like this. And then what I'm going to do is take some of our foam adhesive strips, and these are quite a thick foam, you can see. So they're really good for shaker cards. I'm going to put some of these around the outside. And I want to make sure that there's no gaps for any sequins or anything to fall out of. So I want to make sure it's buttoned up nicely with whatever it's next to. And then you can either leave it like this and have all the sequins can just go in any of the holes. I quite like it to have sequins on each of the colours. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some of this shaker foam just in between each of the colour segments as well. You'll see I've got a little gap there, but I'm not going to bother trying to fill that in because if a sequin escapes into the next compartment, it doesn't matter, it's not going to come off the card. So then I'm just going to put a bit of shaker foam just along the top and the side of the card as well, just so that the whole card is lifted up at the same depth. And we can remove all the backing. And then I'm going to take some of our Sparkle and Shine sequins, and I'm just going to put those really carefully so that there's some in each of these rainbow pieces. And then I can pop this over the top. I'm just being very careful to line that up. And then I've got this cute shaker box with all the sequins in. And you'll see I've got one of our envelopes here. So you can see they fit in really nicely. So you can get a whole set of note cards and envelopes in there really easily and give them as a gift. But you can obviously use it for a lot of other things as well. It's quite a sizable box. So you could fit in kind of like a silk scarf type thing, chocolates, stuff for the bath, all sorts of things will fit in there. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, I'd appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All the products that I've used for today's project are listed in the description below, and there's also a host code there. So if you pop the host code into your basket before you check out, then I'll send you a free gift after the end of the month. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.